In my early 20s, I had a big period of not feeling good enough, but I didn't know my values. I didn't have values. And so the men I was attracting didn't align with my values today. The people I befriended were not aligning with my values. But as I've gotten older, I think the thing that helped me the most was suffering. Suffering and chaos. I kind of know how to find my peace in chaos and kind of regulate myself and kind of solve my issue. And my values have changed, and waking up to what's going on in the world and what's going on in general, it changed my values drastically.
And
so I'm a different person now.
You have values now?
Yeah.
And what are your values?
Just the kind of people I want to surround myself with, fundamental values politically. Since high school, I was an anti-feminist. I was a conservative at one point. I was a liberal at one point, then I became conservative, and then I realized that conservatives aren't conserving anything.
Right.
So I can't even align with them, so I'm on the nationalist side, and wanting to preserve the white race and just the basics that should be preserved.
You want to preserve the white race?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We have to.
We got a clanswoman here.
We have to. Not Klan, definitely not Klan, because that's liberal or far left.
Well, you say you were anti-feminist at one time?
Since high school.
What's anti-feminist?
I'm not pro-feminist.
Oh, you're not for the feminist
Not for it
people.
at all.
Oh, you were anti them.
Well, there was a kind of a period when I was a conservative that I was starting to go toward it because I'm like, oh, Iran, women don't have rights in Iran, but now I don't care. It's not my problem anymore. I don't care. You know,
Right
I think that the problem also is with the lack of feeling confident is these values are kind of pushed on us from an early age, and you go into the public school system and you're supposed to be a victim because you're a particular group identity, and it's all a mess.
Amazing.
And I honestly, I will say also, I don't know, I know you're not a fan of anger, but I like anger sometimes.
You love anger?
Sometimes I do.
And why?
Because I find with the forgiving your enemy and loving your enemy doesn't feel realistic. It's not something I like to partake in. It makes me feel like a coward, and I'm not a coward. And so I find that with Christianity too, because I'm a catechumen in the Orthodox Church, and so and I was trying to be a Protestant, but the church's gay pride events, feminists, women up on the podium, like, what is this?
Amazing.
So
you love being angry.
I think there's a time and place for it, just like, especially with men, right? You know, men, what I love about men is that they're capable of violence, but when they know when to use it at the right time. You know, and so I think anger could be utilized for something good, especially when you see degeneracy in society. And it should be taken care of at some point, right? We're just kind of forgiving everybody, but it's not, it's just the infection is growing. It's not solving anything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I totally understand, but it's amazing.
I know.
So you feel like anger is a weakness?
I feel like it can be utilized for something good. Forgiving is becoming a weakness. You know, and that's why
I hear that from other people too.
Yeah, that's what I think is. So I don't have a problem with anger. It can be utilized for good. You know, I just
really.
That's where I'm
and
at.
Did you say you were an Allah Abba woman at one time?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Never, ever, ever.
Oh, okay.
No, I was at one point against the Sharia law and all of that, but it's honestly, it's not my culture, not my problem. They can do their thing.
Yeah.
But the problem is also with the United States is when we try to go in the Middle East, what we do is we raise pride flags. That's what we do in the Middle East, and that's a way of showing democracy.
Amazing.
So I'm not even for none of that. So.
Okay, I want one person to respond to what you said, and I want to come to you back to you real
Of course
fast
you can.
About the anger.
Yeah.
The young man in the white hat. What do you think about what she said about anger?
I would encourage her to drop it.
What?
I would encourage her to drop it.
And why?
Because I've seen what it did to my own life, and I 100% understand where she's coming from and agree actually with everything she's saying, but I kind of think of, you know, Darth Vader and how Darth Vader became to be. And Anakin used that anger, and he wanted to do good. And he saw that his own people, the Jedi, were, you know, trying to overthrow their own like civilization. And so I think anger, I like what you say about discernment. I think having discernment is different. Just because you take action doesn't mean that that's an anger thing, even though you're doing what's right. But that's as far as I can tell.
Have you overcome your anger?
I have.
You have no anger?
I do not know.
Amazing.
Or fear or worry.
Oh, okay.
It's been a blessing.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Let me ask. God said that anyone that has anger is a murderer.
Okay.
They're evil, and that you should not trust an angry person,
Okay.
and that we should love our enemies, love our neighbor, love our enemy. God is listening right now. Mm-hmm. He's having some punchy coffee right now. What do you say to God about that?
I think that God knows my heart. He knows my motivation, my intention. So we're just in a different time right now. It's such a different time, and things cannot be handled the same way as they once were. There has to be a greater response to what's going on in the world.
So you're saying to God, well, you know what? It ain't like it used to be, God.
But the thing is, he knows me better than anybody.
We're in a different time now. We're waving gay flags and all that.
Yeah.
And you just don't understand.
No, he knows.
We need this anger. Are you saying that to God?
Well, he created me, right? So he
Yes.
created me to have these different emotions. And I know Satan, you say that. My daddy is Satan, right?
That's for sure.
Right? But God gave me a lot of the attributes that I have. And so I'm kind of just going, it's like a chess game.
Right.
Everything is by design. And I would say just as my responses to what's going on, it's by design.
So you think that God gave you the spirit of anger?
If we're born in the fallen state, I would imagine so. I would imagine we have that capability from the beginning.
So you believe God gave you the spirit of anger?
I would say so. I'd say that because we're not perfect. There's nothing perfect about me. And so I'm meant to be flawed and chaotic.
So you believe that God gave you the spirit of anger?
Yes.
And then why would he call you a murderer? He's going to give you the spirit of anger and say, oh, now you're a murderer.
Well, he knows I'm not actually a murderer. Maybe in my mind I would be.
He said you are a murderer and not to be trusted. You cannot trust an angry person. Yeah. And so why would God give you spirit, call you a murderer, and tell the world not to trust you?
But can you trust a coward?
What?
Can you trust a coward? Someone that's maybe not angry, but what doesn't respond to things.
But a coward is angry. That's why they're a coward.
Or is it more fear-based than anger?
Well, fear is anger.
I guess you're right. It's all in the same family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why would God give you the spirit of anger and then call you a murderer?
I don't know.
Playing a trick on you or something?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't know how to answer that. I'm not sure.
Is it possible that God did not give it to you?
It's possible.
Because
it is
and
possible.
Then on the same thing, he said,
yeah.
So why would God give you a spirit of anger, call you a murderer, tell the world not to trust you, and then tell you to go and forgive? And then I'll forgive you. Why would he set you up like that?
I guess it would be ultimately, I guess that's the death of the ego, right? Is to just let go and detach from the anger.
Why would God give you a spirit of anger, call you a murderer, tell no one to play with you, and then tell you to forgive? Why would God do that to you?
Why would God do that to me? I don't know.
So is it possible God did not give you a spirit of anger? He even said in the
Possible.
Bible, I didn't give you a spirit of anger.
It's definitely
Anger is not
possible.
from God.
Yeah. It's definitely possible. Yeah.
And so you want to hold on to that idea?
Well, it's not necessarily something I want to do, but I feel like based on the condition of society, I feel like I have no choice because, again, I'm thinking about myself, my future offspring, and what kind of world I want them to grow up in, or to live in and to raise them in.
And where's
And
your
so,
future?
Not here yet.
And why are you thinking about something that doesn't exist?
Because I'm a woman.
Good point.
Because I'm a woman. I relive the past. I think about the future. But I will say this, I'm more present than I've ever been. And I do relate to what she said about lack of self-esteem. Because, again, I've gone through that, but I've overcome a lot of that.
Yeah.
And
I want you to know, because of time here, that God did not give you the spirit of anger.
Okay.
Anger is pure evil. As a matter of fact, anyone that has anger, they're separated from God.
okay.
You cannot begin to even know God until you can admit that you're wrong.
Right.
Anger is wrong. Anyone that has anger plays God. As long as you're playing God, you can't know Him. That's why He changed your heart right away.
Yeah. No,
For
I
those who
understand.
want it.
Yeah, I understand that.
So what are you saying yes for?
That I
And
understand
you think anger is good.
No, I understand you. I understand what
Oh.
you're saying, not that.
You still thinking God gave it to you?
Maybe a little bit.
I understand.
I'm giving him credit for a lot of things
You
of my
you're
design and the
giving
way
him
I
credit
think.
for hell and heaven,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
That's amazing. You can't save the world.
I
The
know.
world is
It's not up to me to save it, of course
right,
not.
but you shouldn't even have an opinion about it at all. You should live in your world on this earth so you can have perfect peace and let everybody else live in their world and live in their hell.
Right.
Right. It shouldn't affect you at all, but holding on to that anger and keeping you attached to the world.
That's a good point.
It makes you think there is something you can do, and there's nothing you do. When Christ came to the earth, He couldn't find 10 people that were holy.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, find one. And He was able to find one man, but no holy woman. All the women were screwed up.
Yeah, no.
Of
It's not up to women to
So-
change the world. I agree
But
with that.
my point is, nothing is new.
Yeah. It's all the same.
But Christ made it possible for us to be free right here on earth.
Yeah.
You can't save the world, so drop your anger so you can be free of it.
I wish there was something I could do. I wish I was the border czar.
You wish
That would be great.
But there's nothing you can do. Even the borders are only.
He's not even doing that good
the
of a
world's
job
still
right
going
now.
to be evil, though.
True.
It's the world, human beings, because human beings are evil. The evil is coming through the person, the heart of
Yeah.
people. They are wicked.
Yes.
But that's why you must be born again by admitting that you're evil, and then God will change your heart from evil to good, and then change your nature. You have an amazing life right here
Okay.
on earth.
Definitely.
But you're saying yes, but you think anger is good.
I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with your standpoint. I still do hold the standpoint that it comes to use at certain times. It
Anger
does.
never come for good.
I mean,
No
look at
good use
history.
for- Your
Don't you
greatest
think
power-
in history that it came to good use to create beautiful societies and
What?
civil society? It wasn't just based on forgiving. It was about conquest and whatnot.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Don't you think that good things are built with anger? Because you have, just like in conquest, historically, globally, that's how good societies are surviving, you know? It's not just based on, look at freedom and forgiveness. Look at our society now. Look at America now.
Well, that's because we don't have forgiveness in America.
We have too much forgiveness, I think.
No,
and
we have
that's
none.
why that's why we have
We have
so
no
many,
forgiveness in
we
America.
have the LGBTQ that's
Right.
way too much. We
But I
have
promise
feminism.
you, if we had true forgiveness on this earth, you wouldn't have that happening. I counsel with a guy this week. And when he was a little kid, he was girly like. He like playing with toys and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the adults start calling him, oh, you're like a girl. You're gay, you're this or this, right? And so they told him that he was gay as a kid, and he started believing it. And when he went to high school, and he said he didn't want to be that way. He knew it wasn't, he didn't want it, right? But they said that's what you are. And so when he went to high school, he met other gay kids, and the teacher, everybody would tell him that with that, right? And so all his life, he'd been thinking that about himself. He even did the thing where you change your body part.
Transiing.
Yeah, because he thought that's who he were. It had been confirmed by the world, and then he felt that way. He felt that way. But then he heard my message of forgiving his mother and his father, and it made sense. And he went and forgave, and that spirit of whatever he thought he was disappeared. And he's like, what am I supposed to do now? I got a woman body thing on me.
Yeah. He sounds like he
because
sexualized his trauma.
he didn't know it was just an anger and spirit in him. And I've heard, and I'm telling you the truth, I heard so many stories like that over these years from men and women around the world. They didn't know all thoughts were lies. They didn't know that the world was confirming evil and making them identify with evil, thinking that it was them because they thought and felt it. They didn't know it was just a thought. And that's what's happening in the world. They can take all the Mexican back to Mexico or wherever. If human beings don't change, the world's still going to be evil. It's not going to change anything. Maybe we'll have less people, we'll make more money, but angry people are miserable. And they still would be miserable no matter how much money they have.
Right.
Even if you were the board of czar, if you were Donald Trump, vice president, and if you held on to that anger, you'd still be miserable.
Yeah.
You'd be just a miserable vice president. You know what I mean? Your soul needs, your heart needs a change to be born again. You must be born again. You got to drop the anger.
And I
then
forgave
you
my
will
mother.
have true power.
Yeah.
Real power is in forgiveness, not in hating. Weak people have anger.
I got to work on that.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to grasp. Really hard.
Forgive
for
your
me to
mother.
grasp. I did.
You went to her?
I went to her. I
Do
forgave
the silent
her.
prayer then.
And I do the silent prayer once a day.
Every day?
Every day. My mom did apologize to me, and that was a big one for her because she has a very big ego.
Right.
And she could be very chaotic. So that was a big one. But it's kind of like with baptism, you think the world is going to change after, but it's kind of the same. It's just kind of like,
No, the world's not going to change.
It's not gonna change.
But I promise you,
Yeah.
you can have perfect peace right here in the world.
yeah,
You don't have to wait until you die. Everybody around you will be miserable, but you will have perfect peace.
yes.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to touch on a quick point
Yes.
with what she was saying. She's got it kind of backwards. Anger is the weakness,
Yeah.
and forgiveness is the strength.
Yes.
And I totally understand why she thinks that way, like the warriors and the conquerors and all that. But the warrior that goes out there with no anger is always going to defeat
Absolutely.
the emotional, angry warrior. So the present one is always going to win. And I think that's where she's kind of confused. It's not the anger that makes the warrior. It's the being present and not angry.
100%. 100%. Really.